Yes, before I start, I just want to say hello. We have two guest priests, as you can see, Father Enrique and Father Marvin. They're friends of Father Sean, so they came to visit him. And so thank you for coming. It's always great to have more priests, on such a great solemnity like Corpus Christi. God's plan for the human family was disrupted by eating. Remember the book of Genesis, what happened to Adam and Eve? They were not supposed to eat from the tree of good and evil, the forbidden fruit. But they did. They disobeyed God. They were tricked, of course, by Satan, but still they disobeyed God. They cut themselves off from God. And let me tell you, don't do it. It's a really bad idea. Never, ever cut yourself off from God. Because of their choice, the original sin came in. Death came in. And each one of us, starting with Adam and Eve, were expelled from the garden, from the paradise. Eating the forbidden fruit introduced death into the human family. Now, God's original plan was for us to eat from the tree of life, to eat the fruit that brings life. So I love how God did this. He tricked now Satan by dying on a cross, which is the tree of life, so then we can go back to the paradise. We can go back to garden. Now, Adam and Eve were not supposed to eat the forbidden fruit, but now we are supposed to eat the fruit that brings life from the tree of life. So this is the Eucharist, okay? The fruit of life. And you must eat it if you want to make it to the paradise. Now, when I came here 3 years ago, Father Brian taught me many stuff, including how we do baptismal class here. And I love the simplicity that he uses for godparents and parents. He doesn't really go into the rubrics, what will happen during the baptism, but he explains the basic message of the good news. And he compares the Old Testament with the new one. So here is how it goes. Egypt, the land of slavery. For us, that's this land, the land of sin, but we struggle with. In Egypt, you have Pharaoh. In this world, you have Satan. He is the ruler of this world. But God sends Moses to release his people. God sent Jesus, new Moses, to save us. When finally they left Egypt, they had to cross the Red Sea on their way to their promised land. Now we have to do the same. If you want to make it to the promised land, which is heaven, it takes time, and you have to be baptized. You have to cross the Red Sea. But on the way to the promised land, being in the desert, the Israelites had to eat. And they ate the manna from heaven. We have to eat something else. The Eucharist. We are on the way to heaven. We are saved by God, but not there. This whole life is one huge desert. but you have to walk through. It's not easy. Sometimes you want to give up. And you have to be fed by God. You have to receive the Eucharist. You have to eat it. Yesterday when I was in my bed, it was about like 11:30 p.m. And I'm just thinking, I just gave this homily for the, yesterday Mass, 4:30. I'm like, I didn't feel great with it. I need to improve it. And it's 11:30. I'm in my bed. Jesus helped me. Guess what? He did. I love how he really works with me. I asked him, like, Lord, give me some ideas, like ideas that will show your love to your people. And the idea came in. And I was debating if I should go this way, but I'm going. Yes, let's do it. There are stuff that need to be said. So here we go. It's not coincidence that Corpus Christi, most of the time, I think even 99% of the time, I didn't do my math. It always falls like in June. But here we go. Remember the story of Adam and Eve and how Satan tricked them and lied to them, and he told them, you can decide what's good, what's evil. You can be gods. That's what he said. Now, Corpus Christi is always in June, and the secular world, which is run by Satan, wants to mock again God himself, using the same tactic but was used against Adam and Eve. You can, guys, decide what's good, what's evil. And you know how it's called? Pride. You are in charge. The secular world commits every June to pride. And of course, I'm not going to go deeper into this issue, but the main idea of being prideful, which is one of the deadly sins. Sin that led Satan to his fall. Then he tricked Adam and Eve with pride. And he still does the same thing. Satan is really smart. We are not. So he uses still the same tactics all the time, including the month of June, which is baptized by the secular world as the month of pride. This world, in many cities this month, including here in Denver, people will be marching with different signs, with different ideologies, making themselves gods, because they can decide what is good, what is evil. But here we go with Corpus Christi, the body and blood of Jesus. We will be marching after this Mass, like the Israelites through the desert. We'll be marching with God, showing the world, but you need God. If you make say yourself God, then you are lost. When you lose God, you lose the way. You are in darkness. You get lost. And since secularly this month is called the Pride Month, on the other hand, from the Catholic perspective, Corpus Christi is about the Eucharist, the humility of God. You have pride here, humility here. God who humbles himself so much that he dies on the cross. Like St. Paul says, he humbled himself up to the point of death on the cross. The humility of God to its extreme. And it's really interesting that for the last 12 months, I should say, we have been going with the church through this process which is called the Eucharistic revival. So here at Lourdes, in front of you in the pews, you had these inserts about Eucharistic miracles all over the world. What's really interesting about Eucharistic miracles is that if you take any one of them, that the scientists took and did some tests on the body, every one of them proved that this is the human flesh, actually heart tissue, of the man who is dying. And it's heart that is broken. I said this here on Holy Thursday. God died for you, and his heart just broke. This is humility. You are God. You can do whatever you want, and you decide to die on the cross for everyone, even those who don't believe in you, and your heart breaks for everyone. This coming Friday will be the solemnity of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. The world baptized the month of June to pride. We always go with humility. The Sacred Heart of Jesus, that's the whole month of June for us. We are not gods. We cannot decide what is good, what is evil, because if you try to do so, you will get lost. You will. We are on the way to the promised land, to heaven, and we need food, the body of Jesus. 50, 60 years ago, back in Poland, my grandfather, who worked for Polish IRS, wanted to go to the Corpus Christi procession. But he was told, because of the communism, you cannot do it. Because if you go to the Corpus Christi procession, if you attend it, you will get fired. My mom told me this story. My grandfather said, I don't care. God's heart broke for me, and I have to go and walk with him. Even if it means losing a job, I will find a better one. I have to do it. So he did. The next day he was fired. But he found a better job. God always provides. But my point is, we have to walk with God, who is the way, who is the life, who is the truth about us, about the world. Jesus in today's gospel shows us how he did it with the apostles. Take this, all of you. This is my body. And as I said, with all the Eucharistic miracles, whenever the tests are done, it's always heart tissue that is broken. And you don't know this here at Lourdes because I'm facing the tabernacle, but there is this point during the Mass, right before Holy Communion, when the priest takes the host, which is at this point the body of Jesus. Right now it's just bread. But when he takes this, and he really takes the bread, which is heart of Jesus, and he breaks it. God dies for you every time during the Mass. And then it's broken. His heart is broken. So today, when you look at him right before Holy Communion, just say thank you. Eucharist, Eucharistia, giving thanks. We are giving thanks to God for all he has done for us. And yes, we should learn how to be humble from him, how to really walk with him through this life, and how to eat his body. Because let me tell you once again, you have to eat it. If you want to make it to heaven, you have to eat it. There is no other way around. You have to eat it. So this is my God. He humbles himself all the time during the Eucharist. He loves us so much that he wants to be with you, the real presence of God. Corpus Christi is a huge reminder that we have to walk, and we will, in the procession with our God. We want to get to heaven, and it means, yes, we are walking with him. We acknowledge that he is God, not us. He tells us what is good, what is evil. We don't listen to Satan because he always tries to lie. Let's really take this seriously, but we are on the way to heaven. And we want to be humbled like Jesus was on the cross. Whenever you attend the Mass, just remember, his heart breaks for you. That's how much he loves you. Let's really be thankful for the gift of heaven and for the gift of God's love. This is the month of June, the month of humility and the month of the Sacred Heart of Jesus that breaks for you. This is my God. This is your God. And we have to walk with him. This is the way, the life, and the truth.